Hi, I'm Julie Fry, Professor of Chemistry and Environmental Studies at Reed College and a board member at Neighbors for Clean Air. And I'm here today to talk to you about where and how to install your PurpleAir particulate matter sensor. So 2 basic things before we get started talking about the details. 1, you'll need to be on a Wi-Fi network, and 2, you'll need access wherever you're installing this to a power outlet for the power supply cable. So the sensors sit inside this plastic cap, which is designed to protect it from the elements. These are the 2 particulate matter sensors. And the fans that pull the particulate matter in are those circular gaps. And so here I have a PVC pipe just to show an example of how to mount it. You would likely be mounting this on, for example, the support holding up a porch roof or some other similar vertical surface outdoors that has free airflow underneath it. You want to avoid, in terms of placement of this device, you want to avoid proximity to any sources of pollution or particulate matter. So you don't want to be very close to a barbecue where people might smoke cigarettes regularly. Avoid being near exterior vents from your home that might be venting cooking aerosol out of the house, or HVAC vents that might create rapid air currents. It's also a good idea to avoid being near any garbage cans or trees or beehives, anywhere that insects might like to hang out, because they can get into these sensors and cause problems as well. So try to avoid being near any potential sources of bugs or pollution, and where air can flow freely underneath it. It's best but not essential to keep this out of direct sunlight as well. There's a temperature measurement inside the sensor, and it will be most accurate if this is not in the blazing sun. So a shaded area on a porch is kind of the ideal situation. There's a couple installation options that come in the kit that you have. One is there's a wood screw. So if you have a wooden support beam that you don't mind putting a hole in, you can use this wood screw to mount it using the hole that's here on the sensor. If not, also included in each sensor kit are these zip ties. And so these zip ties can be used to secure the sensor bracket to a vertical surface. These zip ties are ratcheting plastic single-use, so you tighten it to secure it, and then if you need to take this off or reposition it, you need to cut the zip tie and use a new one. If the post that you're securing this to is wider, you can actually put several of these zip ties in series. So if you put the end of one into another, you can create sort of a longer loop. So that's an option as well. So here's my PurpleAir monitor now installed at about eye height on a vertical surface. Now I need to sort out my power supply. Outdoors, you'll want to think about where this power supply cable will sit, also with respect to where rain might collect. So we plug it in, and then we can see a faint red glow inside, indicating that it's getting power. This power supply can also be mounted, and so an idea for keeping this, if this is in a sheltered area on your porch, you can use some additional zip ties to mount the power supply. In some cases, in order to hide this power line, you might want to run the line up and over through so that it goes along the ceiling, for example, of your porch. If you do that, think about the fact that if rain can get on this line, it could follow the line into the sensor. And so a good strategy is to leave a loop of wire here so that any rain that might collect on this wire can drain down and drip off the loop in the wire as opposed to going into the sensor. And then the next step is to hook this up, to register the sensor and hook it up with the PurpleAir website so that you can look at the data via your Wi-Fi network. So I'll show you that part on a computer.
So now I'll show you how to connect your PurpleAir sensor to your home Wi-Fi network. So we're here on the startup installation guide from PurpleAir. We've hooked up the sensor and connected it to power. I've just stuck a picture of it here so that we can see the device ID, which we'll need to set it up. But you'll have your sensor nearby you, and we're working on a computer that's on the Wi-Fi network that we'd like to connect the PurpleAir to. It's on the same router. Okay, so here we are at connecting your sensor to Wi-Fi, and so we're going to connect to the sensors network, which will start with the words PurpleAir. So I'm going to go up here and look at my nearby Wi-Fi networks, and there is PurpleAir 1B6. 1B6 are the last digits of my sensor's device ID. So I'll click on that network. So now my computer is attempting to connect directly to the PurpleAir. So we're connected to the PurpleAir network now, and this pop-up window appears. And so this is the PurpleAir sensor itself now, and now we're telling it which Wi-Fi to connect to. And again, because I'm in an apartment building, there's a lot of options, but you want to select your home Wi-Fi. So I will find my Shea Frickalack Wi-Fi network here to connect to. And then I need to enter the password for my Wi-Fi network. And it's warning us this takes a minute or two. All right, and so now my PurpleAir sensor is successfully connected to my home Wi-Fi network. So we are transmitting data. And so then the final step, which we can see here on the PurpleAir guide, is to register your sensor on the PurpleAir map. So we can now close this window and go to return to reconnect to our home network. So now that we have the sensor connected to Wi-Fi, the last step is to register your sensor on the PurpleAir map. So we will go to the PurpleAir registration form to do that. So here we are, and the first piece to enter is the device ID. So that's this code that's on the side of the device. So that's why I have this screenshot here. So it's A4CF12. So this is for the sensor that I have here. Yours will be whatever's on the side of the sensor you are installing. So there's the device ID, and now the associated email address for all of these is Mary Pivito's email address at Neighbors for Clean Air. So this has to be the email address that the device was purchased with. So that's why it needs to be this address for all of the sensors and as part of this network. Here we indicate, so first the website checks that this device ID and associated email are related to one another, so that's correct. We click that it's installed outdoors, and then we can assign this a location name. And so the first three letters of all of these should be NCA to indicate this is part of the Neighbors for Clean Air network. And then and then the latter part can be a descriptive location name. So I'm calling this one Indigo 9th floor because that's where this is currently set up. You can use an intersection name or a neighborhood name, something descriptive to help people know a little bit about where it is. And then visibility, we can make this public so it's visible to everyone. And then we want to set the location on the map. So this map is taking a little while to load. So I'm going to start entering a nearby lot and lawn so that the map can start finding Portland in any case. So here now we have the marker on a Google map, and we can move that marker to the exact location. And so here I'll zoom in to find the block that the Indigo building is on, and then it's on this corner, so we can get this lot and lawn as accurate as possible by zooming in and dragging the place marker to the correct corner of the building in this case. All right, so now we've got the location indicated, and then there's an optional section here to share data with some other third-party services. So Weather Underground also does some citizen science with these measurements, so we'll go ahead and leave that there. And then the last bit, the owner's name. So sending any alerts for this device. So this again will be Mary Pivito, and the Mary at Neighbors for Clean Air. We don't need to set a text alert phone number, that's optional, so we'll skip that part. And scroll down and agree with the terms and conditions that you can put my data on the map, and then we will click register and get a congratulatory message. The device was updated, all changes have been applied and are now live. So we are now registered and on the network, and we can check the map now to see the data from our brand new device. So here's clicking over to the map. I'm looking at now at all of Portland, and we can zoom in to find the device that we've just set up. So here it is, Indigo 9th floor. That reading's a little bit high at this point because we've just plugged it in. So it's settling into accurate readings. We can check here. I typically like to look at the raw PM 2.5. This is the actual concentration of PM 2.5. And if we want to see what the sensor is doing right now, we can go to real time from the 10-minute average, which had it since I plugged it in, and we can see, yeah, it's nice and clean, like the other sensors around Portland at this point. So that's how you can Wi-Fi connect and register your PurpleAir sensor. When you register your device on the PurpleAir map, please feel free to use an approximate sensor location if you prefer for privacy reasons. We'd like to ask you, however, to then please email mary@neighborsforcleanair.org with some photos of your sensor as it is installed, more details about exactly where it is installed, and any other potentially relevant information to our data analysis about how it is set up. Thank you so much for participating in Neighbors for Clean Air's particulate matter monitoring network by hosting one of our PurpleAir monitors. Some additional resources are listed here on this slide. The install guide that we looked at as part of this video, a reminder to register your PurpleAir to mary@neighborsforcleanair.org, and a link to a recent webinar where we talked about some of the science that these PurpleAir monitors can be used for. And please do feel free to reach out with any questions. Thank you so much.